Welcome to Convergence Healing with Peter Bedard, where we empower you to heal your pain on every level of your being, body, mind, spirit. Our show is about sharing solutions for creating the life you want. We invite you to stand up and choose a life of health, happiness, and joy. And we're here to show you how. This is Convergence Healing.
Welcome to Convergence Healing. I'm super excited to have you guys here. You know, I always love to read quotes. I find quotes to be extremely inspirational and helpful for me in going through life. And just metaphors and the power of metaphors really speak to my spirit. So there's a quote from my beautiful book, of course, from Convergence Healing that I love sharing with you guys. And the quote is... first, the quote inspired me. I was going through some different quotes that I have in my book for another project, and I thought, wow, what quote speaks to me about our next guest? So I'm going to read this quote and then talk to you and introduce you to our beautiful next guest. So this is from Convergence Healing, Healing Pain with Energetic Love. Be loving with yourself. Be loving with your pain. Be loving with others. A sense of caring is crucial to healing. Study after study shows that those who feel loved and who love recover the most rapidly from all types of illness and injury. We've all heard tales of miraculous, spontaneous recovery when someone who is ill or dying is being prayed for by strangers across the globe. It happens. It's real. Love really does heal. So be loving, be love. So that's a quote from my book, Convergence Healing, Healing Pain with Energetic Love. And as I was going through trying to figure out what quotes I wanted to share with you guys, this quote spoke to me about our next guest, Dr. Davina Kotulski. Davina is an amazing person with an incredibly talented background. She's done some stuff that I don't know if I would be able to do. Davina's worked in the prison system, and she's worked in so many really hardcore sort of experiences where she was able to keep her humanity and actually bring more humanity into the prison system. She brought the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. I said that totally wrong, and I should know better. So she brought those teachings of, it is a tongue twister, Thich Nhat Hanh and Tony Robbins into the prison system to help people and change their lives. And Davina, that's extremely powerful to me, that you're helping people who've gone through such crisis and such trauma, and you're bringing these beautiful teachings into their lives and impacting people on such a profound level. I wanted to have you on the show because of that. And that really spoke to me because I know a lot of people who are listening to this show or watching us on the Reverie format. You guys have gone through a lot just to be who you are, whether you're LGBT or whether you're transgender as part of that community or anything else. And it takes a really powerful community, and our pain can forge us into amazing human beings. And that's what I see when I look at Davina. So Davina, tell me a little bit about your work and what you do.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate that. And I love that quote, and I really do believe in everything that you just shared and have found that in my own experience that love transforms, absolutely. And in my work as a prison psychologist, in my work as a life coach, and in the work that I did with the marriage equality movement, the same-sex marriage movement, where helping people love themselves and also working to love the people and that were even against us, you know, that the power of that to make change. Just to share a little bit about my work, so I worked for 13 years in a women's prison up in Northern California, and like Peter mentioned, I brought in the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, meditation, Tony Robbins' work, but the crux of what I did was to help people love themselves by focusing on helping to bring out the best in them and shining the light of love on them. And actually in my book, which we might talk about later, that journey is chronicled in novel form of how to do that. I also spent a lot of time working in the same-sex marriage movement, helping LGBT people find their voices. And I was a part of an organization called Marriage Equality USA, and Marriage Equality California was the chapter that I was very involved with in California as well. And it was helping people realize that they have a right to love who they love and to be proud about it and to be who we are, right?
Absolutely. And I want to come back to that, but there's something that you said that was really in alignment with how I view the world, and I think we need to bring out more. And you said something about loving your enemy, learning to love your enemy.
Yeah. So one of the things that we did through the marriage equality work was to, view people that were enemies as potential friends.
Absolutely.
So it was like always treating them with respect, and treating ourselves with respect first and foremost, and saying what we wanted, but knowing that some people just needed more support to get there,
right,
to find their acceptance. And so it was hard to not want to start calling people bigots and all that kind of stuff. But it was like, okay, well, if we call them bigots and we separate them from ourselves, then we can't help them understand. We're just pushing them away with anger and rage. So a way of helping people, just looking at them. And there was one time we were in San Francisco, and there were, they bussed people in, and they were holding these really hateful signs up. And I just...
Now, who's they?
No, the Yes on 8 people or whatever.
So a group that was in opposition to equality and gay rights.
Right.
Got it.
And so they were holding these horrible signs up. And I just worked with the people that I was with, and we just looked at them, and we just sent them love. And there was one woman who was just screaming and just frothing at the mouth. And I just looked at her and I said, I love you. It's okay. I know you don't understand what's happening here, but I love you.
Now, how did she respond when with that anger, and you're in that face of anger? I call that the bull, like the bullfighter. Instead of killing the bull, what about loving the bull?
Well, she was with her daughters, who were probably 18 or 19. They started crying, and she couldn't look me in the eye anymore. She had to look away because I wasn't sending hate at her, and she sort of lost her focus on what she was screaming, right? Because there's a personal story that I just that popped into my head from your sharing that. So a few years back, I was in a part of LA that I live in, this wonderful city of LA, and there's wonderful elements and there's problematic elements, and there was a kid that was tagging, and I just said to him in a way, I just said, what is it? Why do you have to do that? I live in this neighborhood too. I respect you. You're not respecting me. And I'm wondering if you have to do that. And he got very upset, and he got very angry, and he postured. He was probably 17, 18 years old. And he had these really big baggy pants on, and he acted like there was a gun in his pocket, like he was going to do something about it. And I just was talking to him. And at one point, he tried to hit me. And he came at me. Now, my response normally from an attack situation is to fight. I'm this little guy, and I'm not very, it's not the best response, but that's my trauma response. Like when somebody comes at me, you don't think about it, right? You don't have time. My response isn't to run or freeze or hide. It's to fight. And so this guy's at me, and I did something I never have done before. He started to hit me, and he hit me across the face, and his fist actually touched my face, but I didn't really feel it. Wow. I just kind of turned my head, so his fist did this, and I just did this. Right? And he had no idea what to do, and then he swung on the other side to hit me, and I just turned my head. And he was so confused. So like that woman who was so hateful, this guy was so confused. He had no idea how to respond to me. And the panic on his face was his eyes were bugging out. When people's eyes start twitching back and forth, like he didn't know what to do. Because I wasn't being angry with him. I was talking to him. I wasn't sending him hate. I wasn't playing on that game level, right? I was raising the level. And it freaked him out, and he just literally stopped, put his hands down, stared at me, and walked away. Yep, there you go.
That was it.
So there was no resistance when you were moving your head. You were
exactly
creating resistance. You were going with the flow,
right?
Or what they call in martial arts, letting the flow pass.
Right. It was my ninja moment.
Yeah.
Hi.
And it's so important because the energy doesn't stick, and then
right.
You just let it go.
So how do we do that more? Because at a time where our rights are potentially going to possibly be taken away. I'm not putting that out there, but I think there's a degree of awareness that you need to have in the world. We're not sticking our head in the sand. But that's a potential.
Yeah.
And at a time where people's anger is heightened, how do you love someone who is threatening to take away your rights that you as a pioneer in this movement really helped fight for?
So again, I would see those people that are not supportive and not on board as people who haven't gotten it yet. And there were so many people throughout the marriage equality movement that had spent enormous amounts of money and energy against marriage equality that later had these epiphanies, or they finally someone talked to them in a way, and their eyes opened, and they were like, oh my God, I get it now.
Right.
And they ended up becoming our allies.
Yes, that was President Obama. President Obama told that story about how he didn't think that we needed to have equality. You could have whatever it was at the time, the domestic partnerships or that type of thing.
Exactly.
And his daughter sat him down. He told that story about his daughter sitting him down and explaining it to him and how he got it.
Right, exactly. So we have to keep having these conversations.
Right.
And so another example would be one of the women that was involved in the Hawaii case that was against marriage equality had a change of heart. Another woman who had spent like $10,000, Mormon woman, her and her husband fought for Yes on 8, they spent $10,000, and then the next year their son came out.
Oh, God, that must have been so hurtful for him. Wow.
And it woke them up, and now they are huge advocates for marriage equality and LGBTQ rights.
Yep.
So but if you shame somebody and you make them feel really bad, then they're going to fight against you more. Right?
Yep.
Like you didn't shame that young man.
Nope.
You didn't call him names. You didn't fight back. You just were like, no, I'm standing up for myself.
Yeah, I'm in this neighborhood too, and you're causing people in this neighborhood a lot of money damages. You're causing their windows to be ruined and scratched, and having to replace those, and the sidewalks. And the city spend something like, I think the city of LA spends something like $2 million or something that a year just painting out graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
That's just ridiculous. Couldn't that $2 million or more be used for some positive, uplifting type of programs instead of just painting out ugliness?
Right. And maybe if he had that, he would use it differently. So part of it is helping people channel their energies into something more positive.
Okay, so I got a quick question for you, and I want you to think about this. We're going to go on a break in a few minutes, but let this sort of pass around in your head. Okay. All right. I want you to put your psychotherapist hat on. Okay. Right. Put it on. All right. How do you love hate? How do you actually love hate? How do you love your parents if they've disowned you? How do you love a friend that maybe who's come and said, you know what, you're not in alignment with my religious beliefs? Somebody once told me that, oh, you're a really nice guy and I like you, but I really think you're going to go to hell, so I can't be your friend anymore. Those were almost the exact words to being told that.
Yeah.
And so part of my work is learning to love the pain and giving the pain a voice and letting it be recognized and that type of thing. So I want your feedback on that, and just, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Gandhi said that the enemy is not the person, the enemy is the untruth of the situation,
right,
or the ignorance. And so if we keep remembering that the other person isn't our enemy, that there is some belief, there is some thoughts that they have that are causing them to act this way.
Right.
And if we keep working with them to address the ignorance, to address the untruth, and move through it and don't give up on them, then that can shift. That doesn't mean we expose ourselves to verbal abuse or being attacked or whatever, unless you're consciously choosing that, right, to engage in that. But part of it is it's helping people talk through the process. Like, why do you believe this way? And your friend that said, I can't be friends with you because you're going to go to hell. Well, God, that sounds really scary for you.
Yeah.
For you and for this friend, right?
Absolutely.
Like, oh my God, that must be terrifying that you believe that there's a hell that you're going to go to.
Right.
What's that like?
But how do you actually do it? Like, you can think about it, you can know it in your head. How do you actually physically love someone who is coming at you with hate, with a knife, with a gun, with whatever it is? How do you actually, beyond just the concept in the head of thinking, like how I was able to do it standing on the street, was my body got really calm, and I focused on this amazing young man who had so much potential that was standing right in front of me. And I didn't focus on the negative thing he was doing. I focused on the energy that was potentially there. And I felt that in my body, right? I felt that I allowed myself to feel love. I allowed myself to go, okay, you're not a loving person right now. You're not feeling loved. You're not in love.
Right.
There's something going on with you. You're obviously hurting. You obviously don't feel heard because you're tagging. Exactly. So you're tagging stuff to sort of let people know you exist. You're being recognized. You're being heard. There's your name, Squeaky or whatever, right? Okay, great. I see you, Squeaky, right? But how do we get ourselves to that point physically to be able to do that? For me, it took years of meditation. It took years of getting in touch with myself. It took the ability to be able to be non-reactive. Exactly. So instead of being reactive, it was really about I'm now present to the entire situation that's happening in front of me. I'm not having a gut response. I'm just being there. And I just kept thinking love, 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 love. Right. And so do you think you can, I'm putting you on your toes. Do you have a way to work with people that you can share in just a few minutes when we come back from the break? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good.
Yeah, great. We'll talk about it.
Awesome. We're gonna be right back with the awesome Dr. Davina Kotulski. We'll see you in a minute. Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're interested, check out convergencehealingteas.com. You can try all of these yummy, delicious teas that are actually crafted in my home kitchen to help you feel better. We have a Sleep Well blend, a No More Anxiety blend, and all of those ingredients in there are designed to help you feel better through the traditional qualities that Mother Nature has to offer. Check it out. So I'm sitting down with the awesome Dr. Davina Kotulski. And Davina, we've only met a short time ago.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with your work, and we had our own book signing.
Yeah.
And it was just a really fun sort of event. And Davina is a very accomplished therapist and healer in her own right. And Davina is gonna help us with something. So before the break, we were talking about how do you actually love your pain? How do you actually love your enemy or someone who is coming at you with hatred? And this is where we need to go as an LGBT community.
Absolutely. So, Peter, as we talked about a little bit earlier, so I spent a lot of time, again, working in the LGBT community around same-sex marriage and how to kind of get ourselves non-reactive, and so that we could go and ask for marriage licenses. We could show up and talk to people who did not want to give us the right to marry. And part of that is, again, we've got to love all of the aspects within ourselves. So if we still have lingering, internalized homophobia, stuff like that, things where we feel guilty or ashamed or whatever, there's always a hook, right? And they can hook into that and shame us, and we get reactive. So through our meditation practices, through affirmations, through spiritual mind treatment, through really learning to love ourselves completely and letting go of all of the bullshit, right? Yeah. So like finding our own confidence within, that allows us to be with those people who, are saying things that are unkind, and be with it. Also to remember, people cannot take away our rights. They can start to change laws and whatnot, but we have to know that we deserve those rights, we're worthy of those rights, and see that as a possibility. There were so many people in the marriage equality movement that would say things like, oh, I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. Well, damn it, if you'd seen it in your lifetime a little bit sooner, right, we would have had that. Exactly. So it's really important right now that we continue to see our rights growing and not being shriveled up and taken away.
Yes.
And that we deserve it, that we don't have to hide, that we don't have to be ashamed of who we are. Now, similarly, in my work as a psychologist working in a women's prison, I worked with a lot of people that had a lot of issues with violence and aggression, et cetera. and people who, I worked with white supremacists. I worked with all kinds of people. I'm Jewish, I'm gay. Like, I had to work with a lot of stuff and people's issues that were kind of negative and nasty. What I found, though, with anybody, whether they're, like we talked about the kid that was tagging that you mentioned, or we're talking about somebody who's a white supremacist or whatever it is, it's seeing that person is hurt and wounded, and that there's a way that they're not loving themselves. And so our job is to love that person, to see and have compassion for that person. When we can, put the love ahead, even no matter what they're saying, and keep working within ourselves to find the compassion and to see that it's the ignorance that is. It's not the person. It's the person has some ignorance. They have some ignorant beliefs. Right. And so our job is to shine that light of love on them so that they can let go of that negativity. They can let go of that self-hatred.
Yes, because that's really what it is.
That's what it is. It's their own self-hatred.
I'm going to pour myself some of my happy kidney liver. You want some? All right.
Yeah, great.
This is one of my favorite teas because it actually helps clear out. Ooh, doesn't it sound good? It actually helps clear out the kidneys. And, one of the reasons why I made this tea today, and I picked this one, was because
Thank you.
In Eastern philosophies, they talk about anger living in the body, in the kidneys and the liver.
Right.
And so this right here, the ingredients in here, the wonderful goodness of Mother Nature, helps us flush out on that physical level the anger and the kidneys. Right?
Yeah.
Now, you said two things that I wanted to go back to. You said, one you said mantra, and the other one you said spiritual mind treatment. I don't think most people watching are going to know what spiritual mind treatment. But before we get to that, will you give us and our audience maybe a mantra that will allow us to, love Trump, as crazy as that sounds, or love the hate, love those parts of us, of the world, because we are all connected, that are out of alignment with love itself, that's going to bring them back, starting with us. What might be a mantra that you could share with us and the audience that will help us be non-reactive and live in that energy of love? What might something like that sound like?
I'm not sure if I can get into a mantra, but first I would start with looking at him and saying this is a man who is narcissistically injured. This is a man who does not love himself, does not feel whole, and is struggling deeply for outside approval.
Absolutely.
Clearly.
He's always looking for somebody to accept him. And if you don't accept him, you're his enemy, you're his bully, he becomes that then. So
we feed it when we, this is a real struggle, right? Because we're all kind of targeting. He is the lightning rod for all of our own feelings of frustration and anger and,
So how about this?
Yeah.
How about...
I know I'm not giving you a mantra yet.
That's okay. Yeah, how about I love myself so much, I could let others be exactly who they are.
Nice. Yeah.
I love myself so much. I love myself so much. I love myself so much. And what does that mean, I love myself so much?
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
Well, definitely it means accepting all aspects of ourselves.
I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love.
Yeah. And even if you're, you could also say, I am willing to see the perfection in Trump. I'm willing to see that he is a child of the divine. And I also hold him accountable for his choices and actions. I am willing to see this person and to support him in healing himself, and so that we can have a better world. But when we're just targeting and sending him more of our own, those areas that we don't want to own within ourselves, it just makes him stronger.
I do a lot of work with pain and with pain, with cancer, with anxiety, addiction type of things. And I know that when people send hatred, anger, frustration, whatever it is, to that tumor or to that anxiety or whatever it is, it grows. It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and more and more powerful. And when I could get them to step back and, as crazy as it sounds, love their tumor, love their panic attack, and to look at it and say, well, that panic attack is the way my body is venting.
That's right.
And I need to vent, obviously. And I may not like the feeling of the panic, and I certainly don't want to keep going there, but it's a good thing because I'm not imploding anymore on the outside. It's coming out.
Right, exactly.
Right?
And with him, it's like I accept Trump as an opportunity for me to grow and for our community to get stronger and to not rely on one individual to
Right.
run this country, that each of us are responsible.
And to love more deeply.
And to love more deeply. And he is this opportunity for all of us to rise up and get really engaged in our community. Obama was wonderful. He moved us forward in so many amazing ways.
Right.
But we also saw him as like this, as our daddy that was going to take care of things.
Right.
And so, he inspired us. But we have got to step up.
Okay, so-
and Trump is giving us that opportunity for us to step
Yeah.
up on a massive level
Yeah.
and to get engaged
So
in
it's a
our
calling.
community. It's absolutely a
So
calling.
the pain is a calling to step up
And make
to be
changes.
deeper and to make
Yeah.
changes. So I love myself so much because I am worthy, I am powerful,
Yeah.
and I am beautiful.
Yeah, and I am a perfect part of this human tapestry. I
Great.
belong here.
Yeah. So there's
I
our
matter.
mantra. There's a mantra.
There's a mantra.
Right? I
Yeah.
like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can, we only have a few minutes
Yeah.
before we go to our next break.
Yep.
Can you give people an idea? What is this spiritual mind?
Yeah, so spiritual mind treatment basically it's an affirmative prayer.
I've done it for years. I
Yeah,
love it.
right. So it's basically about affirming the world that you want to see, and,
Right.
and as you want to see it, because our thoughts become things. So we
Yep.
want to be really clean and clear about what thoughts we have. And affirmative prayer is like, no one else has control over my destiny. I am in charge of my destiny. I choose what happens to my body. I choose how I show up and make a difference in the world.
Right.
I am always supported. I am always guided. I am always in the right place at the right time. These kinds of statements. And, I am the government. I have the ability to
Right.
make change in my life. I have the ability to impact the direction that our country goes in.
And it's about acknowledging that you are part of the whole.
That's right.
That you are part of the divine, that you are part of spirit, that you are part of everything, and so is Trump, and so are all these other people. So
Right,
is the
we're all
white
playing a part.
supremacist.
Yeah.
We are all part of the same. So as I am part of the divine, right, I am connected with and entitled to the experience of the divine.
That's right. That's right.
And so I have all of the resources within me, available to me, that are in the world. So one of the ways of saying that is I am part of the world. I am part of the divine. The divine is part of me.
Exactly.
Therefore, I have access to all the beauty in the world, all the love and all
Yes.
the kindness and all the passion of life. And because I have access for that, I declare.
Yeah, and by declaring it, you're starting to, notice, like when you say these things, you're raising your vibration.
Absolutely, I
You're
felt it.
stepping up.
I
right,
hope you guys
right.
felt it, yeah.
So as you start to say those things, the affirmative prayer, the spiritual mind treatment, is to get you out of the slump and realign with that higher self. With
Exactly.
and that energy. You were talking about the power of prayer earlier, where you send energy to somebody and it changes. This is what we're doing with affirmative prayer. We're aligning with the power of the universe right here and right now.
Yeah.
We're affirming what we want
Yep.
and how we want to see things, and giving thanks for it.
And
knowing
notice
it's done.
that this, and knowing it's done, absolutely,
Yeah.
and noticing that this has nothing to do with religion.
That's right. This is
a
the power of our word.
science in a way.
That's right.
This is a science. This is a science of thinking, of disciplining, and of creation. This has nothing to do with a particular religious
Or a
order,
particular god, or a particular-
or anything.
yeah, anything.
It's nature, universe, divine.
That's right.
Now, how could people find out more information about that? Because I think we probably have a lot of people that are curious. Where would they go and find out information about the spiritual mind treatment?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about spiritual mind treatments, you can Google Ernest Holmes. Obviously, you can put in spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. You can look at some of, science of mind kinds of things.
Sure.
That's not religious science. Or,
It's not religious science, not Christian science.
Not Christian
It's not
science.
Christian science. It's religious
Or
science,
what's the other one? The Scientology. It's not that.
It's not that at all.
But affirmative, affirmations.
It's moving prayer away from petitioning towards claiming.
Right, not the begging, beseeching,
Yeah.
please God, please help me, please do this. It's knowing you are the creator, you are divine. So when you say, I am healthy, I am whole, my life
Yep.
is perfect.
It's stepping into your power.
Everything is working together for my highest
So on
good.
that note, we're going to be right back because we are manifesting our highest
That's
good
right.
right now, and we're going to share with you ways that you can with Dr. Davina's work. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're interested, check out convergencehealingteas.com. You can try all of these yummy, delicious teas that are actually crafted in my home kitchen to help you feel better. We have a Sleep Well blend, a No More Anxiety blend, and all of those ingredients in there are designed to help you feel better through the traditional qualities that Mother Nature has to offer. Check it out. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Convergence Healing Podcast with Peter Bedard. That's me. And we were talking on the break where we want to just do a little clarity on the word divine and how we perceive the word divine. It doesn't necessarily have a religious connotation, but it definitely has a spiritual connotation. And the idea that divinity is the life source of nature, of love, of whatever you want to call it, the universe. It's a life energy. You can call it ki or ka or kundalini or something like that. Yeah.
And it's just that you are a creator and that you are born perfect, whole, and complete, and you don't need anything else or anybody else to complete you. You're here. You're perfect, and your job is to continue to remember that as you move forward in your life.
Absolutely, because the physical world may not always show that to you.
That's right.
Because you're only the result of who you were. Your thoughts, actions, behaviors, feelings, you're the result of those things from your past. But if you actually step into your divine truth and you say, okay, I get that's who I am now due to my past, what am I now creating in the future? So maybe I could walk forward in the future with a different experience. Maybe, although I don't have evidence of it right now, maybe I could bring joy into my life in this moment and watch something like a stupid cat video, right?
Yeah, whatever it is that elevates your vibration. We were talking about the using those affirmative words to bring yourself up. But it's really important because, LGBT people, we have this legacy that we want to acknowledge, but we don't want to like actually continue to live it out, which is, people used to think they would say, oh, LGBT people, they are mentally ill or they're criminals or they're sinners or whatever.
They're pedophiles, all those
all kinds of bullshit, right? Yeah. And that there's something broken or wrong with us. And if, we continue to carry that forward, we recreate that. We just continue to create that reality. So,
and that brings me to your book, or to this workbook that you have. Because although people are coming out more and more in the world, right? And in the United States at least, but I traveled a lot, and I think a large portion of the world is still where the United States was 40 years ago.
Absolutely,
maybe.
There's still places where it's a crime. I mean, Belize just finally changed it. This is actually an 8 CD audio program, and it is how to come out of the closet and into your power, and it's about how to work with your psychology, right? So that you let go of any internalized homophobia, you let go of any need to hide, and you deal with all the stuff that keeps you stuck from really owning your awesomeness, your fabulousness, basically.
So it sounds like pretty much anybody could actually benefit from this, although it's guided for people who are LGBT.
And their friends and family who are also struggling, because families have to come out as well.
Oh, enormously. Yeah. My family coming to terms with my being gay I think it was harder for them at times than it was for me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Friends and family or straight spouses or whatever, they have to come out of the closet too. And they go through a coming out process, for sure.
I mean, how often do you hear the story of the kid coming out and the mother saying, don't tell your dad? Or, well, we're fine with it, but don't tell the community or, whatever it is. Because there's levels of coming out.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So this is what that's about. It's also some interviews with some folks who went through and survived some of the things that people are afraid of the most. Like what happens when, for example, you're a senator and you're caught.
Did you actually interview a senator?
Yeah, Senator Roy Ashburn. Yeah, who had spent many years even voting against gay issues so that he wouldn't get caught, and he tells his story. Also, there's several ministers. One was a minister of one of the biggest Seventh-day Adventist churches in Brazil.
Wow!
And he was outed. And how he dealt with that, how he moved through that, losing his community, and how that actually set him free. So, sometimes we need to go, well, what's the worst case scenario and how would I deal with that? And so they're sharing their stories as well.
Without giving it too much power.
Oh, absolutely. And showing how amazing their lives are now.
It's that awareness of what's going on.
Exactly.
Without emotionally tapping into it.
Yes.
Because the moment those emotions get involved, right? I have a little theory. I studied quantum theory and science and stuff like that with my master's degree in theology and science.
Yeah.
And my little theory for creating the world, creating the universe, is when a thought combines with a feeling, and those two things come together, they create this physical world that we live in.
That's right. They outpicture as reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what the program is about. It's about looking at where, changing your thoughts, changing all those areas of your life.
And creating a new reality.
Creating a new reality so that you don't get stuck and you're not again, creating people turning against you, but really finding your truth, your beauty, your wholeness, and projecting that out into the world.
I like that because it's not just a coming out thing. It's not just how to come out. It's actually how to live in, like what you say, in your power, how to understand who you are to live in your strength.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stuff out there about how to come out. There's a lot of that type of stuff, but it seems like they take you to a point of maybe neutral. How to come out. Great. Now I'm out. But once you're out, and this is true for everybody, whether you're coming out in your own strength, you're coming out in your own power, you're coming out as a woman, you're coming out as a lesbian, you're coming out as a, truly loving who you are.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That coming out, taking it further, and that's what I liked about your work.
Yeah.
It's really about stepping into your power.
And how to talk to people, when they say things that are maybe they don't realize are disparaging. I was married, I'm divorced now. But it was amazing while I was married, people I would say something about my wife and they'd say, "Oh, your girlfriend." And I would say, "No, my wife." And they were unconscious of it. Right? So it's like we have to change our language. But then I would meet gay people that wouldn't ever use those language. They wouldn't say that. And it's like,
there was an internal shame.
Yeah, you've got to claim it. Whatever it is, you've got to claim it. You want the world to be different? Claim it. You want to use a particular bathroom? Continue to walk up and show up. And what is it? They persisted. Like she persisted. Just keep doing it. Right? Create the world as you want it to be. And you can't wait for somebody else to give you permission. You just can't. You've got to get out there. You've got to be who you're meant to be, right? And love who you're going to love.
We're getting a lot of cheers from our studio
right?
crowd.
But it's true, right?
Yeah.
Be you.
Absolutely.
Right? Don't shrink, and whatever part of you there's those gremlins, this is why we do these affirmations, because there's gremlins say, "Oh God, don't take up too much space and, don't wear that or whatever." No, show up in your fabulousness. Talk to yourself. You are here. You are a unique individual. You're here to be different. You're here to create something new. Don't let other people stop you. Be who you came here to be. Like, seriously. And let yourself, and know that when you show up that way, whoever loves you, right? Because people are going to love you, they love the real you, not some bullshit, pretend, closeted self you're trying to be. Right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Woo! I love that. That was okay for those listening. That right there was actually almost a spiritual. Oh God, I just lost
like
the word.
A mind treatment.
That was almost a spiritual mind treatment right there. Raised your vibration,
Raise your vibration.
Claimed your power, step into your greatness, all that type of stuff. So, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys, that was amazing. I hope you guys really take that to heart. And maybe you even start talking to yourself like that. What would that be like? Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. And before we go, I would like you to share with people, how can people find you?
Okay. So my website is davinakotulski.com. That's my main
spell
website. DAVINAKOTULSKI. You can also find me. I have another website. It's followyourcourageousheart.com. And that's about a program I have, a 90-day program that is for everybody. And it's about how to live, from your heart. Basically, do what you came here to do. It's for artists. It's for anybody that wants to just be true to themselves.
And so this is not just LGBT. This is for anybody who wants to create.
That's right. It's Follow Your Courageous Heart, a 90-day program to move beyond fear to fulfillment. And again, how to blast fear out of our way, move through it so that we can do, and give our gifts and, be who we came here to be for everybody. Because when we're all being true to ourselves, it's a happier place, right? When we're not hiding and shrinking, we're actually moving forward in life. We're happy. When we're happier, I mean, everything's different. Fewer addictions,
Yeah.
fewer crime, whatever it is,
Yep.
right?
And you can find Davina through social media as well.
That's right. Dr. Kotulski is my Twitter handle, and Dr. Davina Kotulski is my Facebook.
Great.
And Google me, and you'll find me there too.
Cool. And you
Yep.
could find us on Facebook. You could find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. Just look for Convergence Healing at Convergence Healing or hashtag Convergence Healing. We're right there. Send us your messages. We'd love to hear from you guys. Do you have any suggestions for us? Email us through any of those social sites. Send us a private PM, any of that type of stuff. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like. And let us know what you would like more of. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being our friends, our community. Thank you for standing in your power and your joy. And thank you, Davina,
Thank you,
for
Peter.
being just an amazing guest.
Thank
We'll
you
have
for
to have you
having
back.
me. Oh, it's lovely to be here. Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Cheers.
And blessings to all. Ciao.
All
Cheers.
right. Cheers. Thank
Good
you.
job.